This is Counterpoint, and I'm your host, Tanya Granic Allen. Canadian identity is often spoken of as if it were self evident, polite, pluralistic, and perpetually unfinished. Yet beneath the slogans lies a deeper question. Is Canada a nation with a shared cultural core, or a procedural state held together primarily by rights, institutions, and goodwill? In an era marked by mass immigration, declining historical literacy, and growing polarization, that question is no longer simply academic. It is central to how Canadians understand themselves and what they expect of one another. These questions have become harder to avoid as debates over immigration, integration, and multiculturalism intensify. Canadians are increasingly divided over whether national cohesion requires a stronger sense of shared history and culture, or whether openness and diversity alone are sufficient to sustain the country. Too often, these conversations are reduced to slogans rather than examined seriously. Well, joining me now to help us explore the issue of Canadian identity is Peter Copeland, Deputy Director of Domestic Policy with the Macdonald Laurier Institute. Hi, Peter. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. How do you define Canadian identity?
Yeah, it is a great question, and Canadians often, kind of tiptoe around it, as you alluded to in your opening. It's just these kind of procedural things of being nice and polite and respecting and open, which are certainly important. They're part of our character as a pragmatic people. Our nation was built on a kind of appropriate compromise in the spirit of peace, order, and good government, which we find in our Constitution. But we're very much, we're a constitutional monarchy compared to, for example, the United States, which is a revolutionary liberal order. And so we have strong ties culturally, but also, politically and legally to the Anglo-Saxon traditions of limited government, freedom, rule of law, and our French culture that's more communal, and is a stronger believer in larger government for the common good. And we are very much, part of the civilizational inheritance of the Western world with its Greco-Roman, philosophical origins and the Judeo-Christian religion, which have all been, very central to our identity for quite some time. I would say until really the advent of the official Multiculturalism Act in the 60s and all of the cultural change that was going on around the Western world in that time, that wanted to reject a lot of the particularity and specific, stronger value claims and commitments that come from our civilizational inheritance. And I think we're floundering a bit now as a result of that.
Yeah, and that's an excellent phrase, civilizational inheritance. I think most Canadians know we trace our roots or our constitution to the British monarchy. But it's interesting because, you know, the Brits have a very strong sense of cultural identity. Maybe it's waning now, but they rally behind their sports teams and their Union Jack, and sometimes I feel that we don't as much as Canada. Like, yes, we're an arm's length. We were under the sovereigns, we still are, but we're fairly free here. So what elements do you see of our identity that are, say, non-negotiable versus those that are okay to be disposable?
Yeah, so I think we have unfortunately de-emphasized a lot of the things that are, as you say, rallying points for people to unite around. And so I think we need to recover and further, I would say, our understanding of the importance of the rule of law, of limited government that we have here, but also a government that is not, excessively focused on being small and promoting individualism, but one that provides for common goods. I think we need to develop a more robust sense of what it means to have peace, order, and good government, which doesn't mean just being so open and diffuse and tolerant in a way that puts no demands on our citizens or people coming here.